Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and of course, the Transformers Marathon is still continuing. We now come to the third installment in the Transformers franchise, Transformers Dark of the Moon. Yes. And, you know, like the first sequel, Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon is... It's mixed. Like, you know, it had, you know, mixed reviews, you know, people that do like Dark of the Moon, and definitely those that do not like Dark of the Moon. But, you know, for me, I thought this was pretty good. Not bad, because let me tell you, because so much happens in the third installment. Like, yeah, and as I mentioned in my review of the first film of, you know, what goes on in Dark of the Moon. But anyways, read the description / the story. Sam and his new girlfriend, Carly, join the fray when the evil Decepticons renew their long-standing war against the Autobots. Optimus Prime believes that resurrecting ancient Transformer Sentinel Prime, once the leader of Autobots, may lead to victory. That decision, however, has devastating consequences. The war appears to tip in favor of the Decepticons, leading to a climactic battle in Chicago. Okay, so as I said, so much that happens in Dark of the Moon, because the opening to this film is just wow. I mean, you know, you talk about in the first Transformers film how the dam was built over, you know, the Allspark / the Cube, and yeah, and in this, because, you know, we see the final days, you know, of the war of Cybertron, and one ship survived and escaped Cybertron, and basically it was carrying something that, you know, spoke hope for Cybertron and the Autobots. But unfortunately, at some point, it crash-landed on the moon. And that's when, on Earth, you know, they discover, you know, something is on the moon, and they report this to the president, you know, John F. Kennedy. And, you know, with the astronauts going into space in 1969, like, there's the twist, you know, because... you know, there was that infamous, like, you know, rumor about, you know, the astronauts discovering something on the moon, and, you know, that story. And what Dark of the Moon does is that the astronauts discover the crashed Autobot ship. Like, that's crazy. And what's inside of the Autobot ship, called the Ark, according to Optimus Prime, well, inside of the Ark is Centennial Prime, and what he has on the ship that, you know, could bring back Cybertron, basically. Yeah, so that's just insane, but that's pretty cool. I do like that, how they do this. I mean, you know, the Transformers movies are supposed to, you know, take place in our world, you know, reality. You get my point. So that's pretty cool. And we, of course, get the introduction of Sam's new girlfriend, Carly, played by Rosie Huntington Whiteley, if I'm saying her last name right. This was actually her acting debut, and not to mention Michael Bay. He actually had directed some Victoria's Secret, like, commercials, stuff like that, and with Rosie Huntington Whiteley. Yeah, and, like, you know, there's one complaint I have about Dark of the Moon, and that is, you know, Michaela's absence, because as the film establishes, and according to Wheelie, once again voiced by Tom Kenny, you know, Wheelie mentions, you know, what if she dumps us like the first chick? Of course, he's mentioning Michaela. I don't know, like, could they have explained that much better? Like, you know, after what happened in the first two films, and especially in Revenge of the Fallen, how Michaela was so desperate to save Sam and revive him. You know what I'm talking about? Like they should have, I'm just saying, like, they should have established that much better, you know. And you know, it is a shame because, you know, Michaela was a good character. Like, I had no problem with Carly. She was an okay character. But I'm just saying, like, that was unfortunate. And it's been said that Megan Fox and Michael Bay, they had a fallout, which obviously, you know, it was patched up because Megan Fox would reunite with Michael Bay in the Ninja Turtles films, as we all know. But I'm just saying, you know, like, that's the only complaint I have about Dark of the Moon. But yeah, about Sam, because, well, you know, after being the hero of the first two films, and he got a medal from President Obama, and actually, that's where him and Carly first met, at the White House. And, you know, like, they at one point broke something in the White House, like something that's glass. It was pretty funny. Sam is trying to find a job, and, you know, he's trying his best, you know, with the job interviews he has. His parents, Sam's parents, you know, we once again see them, you know, Ron and Judy, once again played by Kevin Dunn and Julie White. They're, like, traveling around the world, basically. They have their own bus, and, you know, they happen to, you know, stop by and visit Sam for a while. And, you know, just him trying to, again, you know, get a job. And, you know, Bumblebee is not there with him. He's driving another type of car that looks like Bumblebee, you know. And speaking of Bumblebee, the Autobots and the military, you know, they're this team called NEST. You know, it's something that was created, like, you know, because of the alliance of the Autobots and the military. You know, they're still on the hunt for, you know, the Decepticons, any Decepticons that roam around Earth, and they at one point go to Russia in one location, like, called Chernobyl, or however the heck it's pronounced. I don't know, but it's in some part of Russia, and, you know, of course, Decepticons attacking, and they come across something that was from the crashed Autobot ship on the moon, the Ark, and basically, because, yeah, the Decepticons left that for them. Yeah, because Shockwave once again appearing, and this time two Decepticons that are basically Shockwave's pets. There's a Decepticon bird and a Decepticon, like, worm named Dripper. And gosh, like, Dripper's scenes, like, just going in the ground and just coming up, like, gosh, what a crazy, just, like, scary Decepticon he is. And finding the piece from the wrecked Autobot ship, the Ark on the moon, yeah, that basically pisses off Optimus Prime. And when, you know, we get a new character in this film named Charlotte Meering, if I'm saying the last name right, played by Frances McDormand. Yeah, and basically Charlotte is the director of the National Intelligence of the United States. She basically comes in and, you know, talking about, you know, the piece from the Autobot ship, you know, and, you know, why it was discovered by humans and, like, it was kept. And we basically get the appearance of those who work at NASA, explaining the whole thing that happened in 1969 when the astronauts discovered the crashed Autobot ship, the Ark. And, of course, we all know the two astronauts that were on the moon in 1969, one of them being Buzz Aldrin. Yeah, the Buzz Aldrin appears as himself in the film. Like, that's awesome. Of course you gotta have Buzz Aldrin in this because of what's going on. I also noticed that one of the other, like, people at NASA was played by, where is he? From iCarly, Mr. Howard, yeah, old NASA scientist, David St. James, yeah, as I said, Mr. Howard from iCarly, because, yeah, as I said, he's one of the old NASA scientists. Also, the younger versions of Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong from 1969, Buzz Aldrin was played by Corey Tucker, and Neil Armstrong being played by Don Jeans, if I'm saying the last name right. Also, more on Sam and Carly, because, we find out, where Carly works. She has a job, and it's at this, like car shop, I want to say. It's in Washington, and Carly's boss, named Dylan, played by Patrick Dempsey. And yeah, like Dylan at times just I guess flirting with Carly, and of course, that does not please Sam, and he gets jealous. But of course, Carly assures Sam, obviously. Yeah, it's as I said, it's pretty funny because when Sam, him trying to find a job, and it's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not complaining about this, but, he should have already, have a position with the military and the Autobots, don't you think? But Sam does find a job eventually at, a company called Accurata Systems. Yeah. And Sam's boss, Bruce Brazois, if I'm saying the last name right, I don't know, played by John Malkovich, yeah. And, I tell you, because the place that Sam works, pretty interesting, I guess, some of the employees, especially one of them, Jerry Wong, played by Ken Joan, however you pronounce his last name, I'm sorry, but, at one point, he gets suspicious about Sam, and I think, at first, we don't know what this guy's deal is with following Sam around, and him just, intimidating Sam in a bathroom, and, just basically, Jerry is warning Sam about, that something that has to do with, the dark side of the moon, all that stuff, with the crashing Autobot ship, the Ark. And it turns out that Jerry was, threatened to, spy on Sam or something like that. The Decepticons doing. They threatened Jerry, the one Decepticon pet of Shockwave, the bird, because the Decepticon bird a couple of times, threatening some people, because the Decepticons, what we don't realize is that the Decepticons have a plan, and I gotta say, because boy, no one saw this coming, what the Decepticons were doing in this film. And at one point, Jerry got thrown out of the window, and he sadly got killed, and all hell breaks loose at the company that Sam works at when the Decepticon bird attacks. And to speed things up, Sam, Carly, along with Wheelie and Brains, almost forgot to mention Brains, voiced by Rena Wilson, going to NEST to, warn them about what had just happened with Sam's encounter with a Decepticon. And, gosh, even Charlotte, Frances McDormand's character, the way she treats Sam, Sam, who saved the day twice in the first two films, and, she only, she tells Sam that he's just a messenger. this kid's a hero. Even Carly has Sam's back, telling her that, that he's a hero, and he is. And it's also pretty funny. Charlotte doesn't want to be, referred to as ma'am, like, don't call me ma'am, as she says, but, she is a woman, like, and as Carly says, like, she has to be preferred as ma'am, come on. And also the Autobots, they went to the moon to recover, what was in, the wrecked, Autobot ship, the Ark, and they retrieve, these, pillars, and Centennial Prime. And Centennial Prime is resurrected, and Centennial Prime being voiced by the late legendary Leonard Nimoy. And Leonard Nimoy, who voiced another Transformers villain in the 1986 Transformers animated movie, Galvatron. So that's cool, him voicing another Transformers character. And something about Centennial that we don't know about just yet, because, Centennial, he is an Autobot, so clearly, and basically, like, these pillars, as I mentioned, that Centennial had, they basically can do something, like, they can bring back, the planet of Cybertron, and the Decepticons, more on the Decepticons, because as we saw in Revenge of the Fallen, Megatron and the remaining Decepticons, they basically ran away, and they've been living out in Africa, basically. And the plan that they had, well, to speed things up still, basically Centennial had made a deal with the Decepticons to basically take over the world and to bring Cybertron back. And Carly's boss, Dylan, he's in on this too. He's teamed up with the Decepticons, and he even has Carly held hostage. And also, a little bit earlier, Sam called up an old familiar face, Agent Simmons. Yeah, John Turturro once again playing Agent Simmons, and it's pretty funny because Simmons being interviewed by Bill O'Reilly from Fox News. We get a cameo from Bill O'Reilly. Simmons publishing a new book of his, and things don't go so well between Simmons and Bill O'Reilly. And not to mention Simmons, his house is being cleaned out, it's going to be up for auction, I think. And Simmons has a butler, if I'm correct. Like, he is his butler. Yeah, named Dutch, played by good old Alan Tudyk. Yeah, Alan Tudyk. It's Alan Tudyk. He's good in anything, and he was definitely funny in Transformers: Dark of the Moon. So yeah, Simmons and Dutch, they help out Sam. The whole thing of the dark side of the moon, the wrecked Autobot ship. And Bumblebee actually, reunites with Sam. Bumblebee came back to Sam, to the apartment that they live in, which I gotta say, it's a big apartment, like a mansion, basically, that Sam and Carly live in. And Carly, she's not too happy about what's going on, and, there's a bit of a backstory to her and her family, because she sadly lost her brother during the battle of, that happened in the first two movies, yeah. And, Carly telling Sam that, he matters to her, and, she wants what's best for him, stuff like that. So I don't think they did break up. She just kind of went off to the party that Dylan invited Sam to as well. So, but Sam, he stays behind. And for him and Simmons and Dutch to figure out all this, even Sam's boss Bruce, he even came in at one point and he helped out Sam as well. And his interactions with Bumblebee were pretty funny, like treating Bumblebee like a dog and just like, oh, okay, good boy, just like, Bumblebee with, like, pointing his gun at Bruce. It's pretty funny. And yeah, that's when Sam, he goes to warn Carly about, you know, what's going on. And yeah, and that's when we find out that Dylan, he's part of this too. And as I said, he has Carly held hostage. Even like a Decepticon, I think it's a part of you know, Dripper, the Decepticon-like worm. A part of Dripper is attached to Sam, disguised as a watch. I don't know, like, I think if I remember correctly, to keep track of what Sam says to, you know, Charlotte and the military, and also not to say a word about what just happened, you know, because the part of the Decepticon of Dripper just torturing and zapping Sam, basically. And what happens with the Autobots and the military, because yeah, because that's when Centennial reveals that, you know, he teamed up with the Decepticons, made a deal, and even at one point Centennial kills one of the Autobots, Ironhide. Like, that's a bit of a shame. Like, Ironhide, I can tell, is a fan favorite. And by the way, the Autobots, we do get an appearance of new Autobots. And, of course, you know, we have Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and, you know, now Ironhide, who's now dead, you know. There was also, yeah, we of course got Ratchet once again, but we also got Side Swap, and Wheeljack, and Dino, Starscream. Yeah, Starscream, yeah, he's appeared. Yeah, and Wheeljack, he's like this, like, mechanical, like, this Autobot who is a mechanic, basically, with, I think, a Scottish accent, yeah. Yeah, so all hell breaks loose, and, you know, with what the Decepticons do, and Centennial activating I think some of the pillars, and well, and also like Centennial and the Decepticons summoning some Decepticons that have been hiding on the moon, and they come down to Earth, and they start attacking, you know, parts of Earth, and even say the Decepticons, like Megatron, he at one point destroyed the Lincoln Memorial statue, and now he sits in the chair. Like, wow, that's crazy. And that basically leads to the alliance with the Autobots and the military to come to an end, thanks to the Decepticons and Centennial. And thus, the Autobots are forced to, you know, leave Earth, you know, a rocket ship built just for them. And, you know, a moment between Sam and Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, you know, saying their goodbyes, and Sam trying to convince Optimus Prime, you know, stuff like that. And Optimus Prime, you know, has a lot of blame on him. And thus, you know, the rocket is launched, and at one point, one Decepticon transforming into like an air jet goes in and destroys the rocket. And, you know, you think at first that the Autobots have been killed, all of them. It's very sad, you know, like, there goes the humans' best hope, you know, the Autobots. Like, all of that, like, that was the Decepticons, that was their plan, you know? From the Autobots and the military discovering that one piece from the Ark to, you know, resurrecting Senatel, you know, to forcing the humans and the Autobots to go their separate ways, stuff like that, to destroying the Autobots. Geez, like, the Decepticons, it's like they really, like, came up with a good plan. You get my point. And, but of course, we all know that in the end, they lose, and yeah. And, the Decepticons, they invade Chicago, and, you know, setting up those pillars, to, you know, bring in, Cybertron. Cybertron being the new home, for Earth, and, basically Earth being populated by Cybertron, all that. And Sam, well, he's not giving up, and especially since, he's got help from, some friends of his from the military. We, of course, once again get the appearance of Lennox and Epps, and Epps helps out Sam, take on the Decepticons. But when they get there, I mean, looking at Chicago, it's pretty much turned into an apocalyptic city. I mean, a little bit earlier, the Decepticons were obliterating the civilians of Chicago. Just so horrific to see. Just like totally vaporizing them, and I think their clothes like survived, I want to say. Jeez. So yeah, as I said, Sam and Epps, and those that that are not serving with the military, like going in, and there's one moment where like Epps and the others they give up, and Sam he's still not giving up, and it seems like they're gonna be killed by the Decepticons, but nope. The Autobots come in, they survived, and how did they survive? Well, according to them, they were in a separate part of the rocket ship, and, it's separated, and, yeah, they were never going to leave Earth because of course, the humans obviously would need their help, and yes, and thus the battle begins in Chicago, everything just going on, from the military and the Autobots attacking and, taking on the Decepticons. And, yeah, even say Lennox and the rest of the military, they go in, they arrive at Chicago, and they join the battle. And by the way, I almost forgot to mention this, Charlotte and Simmons, they have a reunion, and apparently it turns out they had a relationship before. And it's Charlotte wants nothing to do with Simmons, she has a grudge against him, but Simmons does not. That's pretty funny. And yeah, and so, as I said, so much happening in Chicago with all the explosions and the fighting, stuff like that. I mean, that's what you would expect in the Transformers films. And I'd like to point this out, people are the people who watch the Transformers films, I've heard that, they're only interested in the action and the fighting, all the explosions, and not the plot. But come on, the plot is important because a movie always has to have a plot. And, the Transformers movies, they try their very best with the plot. I can tell, just saying. And yeah, because, at one point, Wheelie and Brains, they actually saved the day, taking on the big, mothership, And, obviously, that's a big part of the whole invasion of the Decepticons and bringing in Cybertron. So they become the heroes, taking down the big ship. And I think, yeah, they did survive, because that was strange, because the last we see of them is, when the ship crashes. And I think they at one point said that, we're gonna die, but of course they don't. Sam at one point, I think, yeah, he is shutting down one of the pillars, and Dylan, he's trying to stop Sam, and, Dylan reactivating one of the pillars. But of course, yeah, Sam does defeat Dylan. Dylan, hits the pillar and gets electrocuted, so, that's the end of him. And Carly, at one point, confronts Megatron. Basically, she tells Megatron that at some point Centennial will dispose him, and as Carly puts at it, he'll be Centennial's bitch. And thus, Megatron, he helps take on Centennial, and all of it comes to an end. Earth is saved, and Cybertron not coming in and, Cybertron populating Earth, that stuff. And finally, Optimus Prime defeats and kills Megatron by beheading him, like literally ripping his head off. And one last confrontation between Optimus and Centennial, all he wanted was just to do what was best for him and Optimus's people, the Autobots. Wanting to bring Cybertron back. Like, that's what he wanted. He wanted to do something good for, their people. And, Centennial saying, you see why I had to betray you. And what Optimus says to him is, you didn't betray me. You betrayed yourself. And yeah, Optimus, had a point because, yeah, Centennial betrayed himself. And thus, Optimus executes Centennial. So Centennial is done for. And yep, again, all ends well. The battle is over. And of course, Sam and Carly, they have their, romantic moment, of course. And a funny moment from Bumblebee, because how he communicates, as we all know, through radio. And he plays wedding music and, he spits out some gears, supposed to be, wedding rings. It's pretty funny. And we get one last speech from Optimus Prime, and, we get a shot of Earth and space, and boom, the movie ends. Yeah. Speaking of funny moments, I thought it was pretty funny at the beginning of the film, because we see that Wheelie and Brains, they're living with Sam, and at one point on TV, an episode from Star Trek, the original series, is on, Amok Time, where Spock smashes the computer, and Wheelie commenting, saying, this is the one where Spock goes nuts. That's pretty funny, because, we get Mr. Spock on TV, and the fact that Mr. Spock, Leonard Nimoy, voices one of the Autobots, Centennial. That's the joke. And another funny moment during the credits, Simmons, because he at one point was in a wheelchair throughout most of the film because due to some injuries, and when, at one point Simmons, Dutch, and Sam, they confront the Russians, which, they had something to do with the piece from the Autobot ship, the Ark, and they wanted some information from the Russians. So, yeah, because at one point Simmons got injured and he got put into a wheelchair. And the Russian guy that Simmons, Sam, and Dutch, they talked to get the information about, the piece from the Autobot ship. He was played by Ela Baskin. Yeah, I think I got his full name right. Everybody remembers him best from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man films as Mr. Dickovich. Yeah, it's him. So yeah, and he's good in anything as well. So as I was saying, Simmons in the wheelchair, he at one point grabs Charlotte and kisses her, and Charlotte starts to laugh, and she even tells her men to arrest Simmons, but I don't know, is she in love with him again? I don't know. I mean, it is funny, so, Transformers Dark of the Moon, I thought was pretty good. And as I said, there are definitely those that do not like this film, but there are those that do like it, like me. And again, so much happening in this film. This is where the Decepticons, they definitely go at it, invading Earth, and, almost just, bringing in Cybertron, populating Earth. Just so much craziness happening. Just, yeah. And how do I rate Transformers Dark of the Moon? Good question. It's on my mind. I give it, 7 out of 10 stars. 7 out of 10 stars for Transformers Dark of the Moon. And what about you guys? What did you think of Transformers Dark of the Moon itself? And what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. So, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Transformers Dark of the Moon. More review videos on the way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video/review. And of course, the Transformers Marathon is still continuing. The next Transformers film, well, as we all know, Mark Wahlberg joins the Autobots. Stay tuned for that later tonight. Take care, and peace out.